Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Marvel Dice Throne. And basically go watch my discussion for Dice Throne, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. This is Dice Throne with Marvel characters. I guess, the discussion I did with my buddy Josh, I mean, you are not him, so you might have a different opinion on Dice Throne, but what's your overall thoughts?
I really enjoy Dice Throne.
Yeah.
I prefer it because of my gaming situation.
Mm-hmm.
I play the adventures more, just because you can play it solo. I don't get many 1v1 games played.
Right.
But I always enjoyed it. I love dice rolling. I love the character. I like the theming for the characters.
Yeah.
You know, they do a good job of bringing it in. Just like with me, I was tossing Mjolnir back and forth. You were using illusion cards, which makes perfect sense. Right, but I mean, it was still there, you know, and it was...
I think out of like the 6 times I used it, you got like the success. I think 4.
Yeah.
4 out of the 6. But it could have easily gone the other way of being like, you got the fail every single time.
Right, but I mean, like you said, I mean, it's Dice Throne. There's nothing different with Marvel than any of the others. It's just they have the theme for
which I will say, I really like this, and I was obviously on board whenever it was coming out. And the character choices that they did, like, I'm not upset with. I think if they keep going the Marvel route, they have a lot of windows of opportunity. But it's cool that they went a different... I mean, well, really the only kind of, like, unusual character is probably Miles Morales, Spider-Man, but everyone else is kind of there. These things are always difficult to kind of grasp, especially when it's a battler, because it's like, okay, Scarlet Witch versus Black Widow. Gee, I wonder who's winning. It's hard to get into the theme that way when they're not mystical or cosmic beings. But then you can do Black Widow versus Black Panther, and that's a little bit closer. So I was able to get into the theme a little bit more, because it wasn't just generic barbarian or whatever. And to be fair, we haven't played all the characters. We're going to do a tournament for the Marvel Dice Throne, and if you've watched my tournament for the regular Dice Throne, I have learned it's single elimination only. Yes. Because whenever I initially did double, it was in the idea that the rounds were only going to be 30 minutes, but that's still like 30 overall fights because I did both seasons, and it was just a fucking mess. This definitely was a breath of fresh air, because Dice Throne, when I initially did the discussion for it, it was like a 9 out of 10, and playing that tournament and playing 10 games in a row, I was like, I think I hate this game. It was just, I couldn't do multiple games of this. I can handle randomness or just kind of like, oh, haha, like the one whenever you actually drew the fail. And missed all the damage, and it's like, oh, thank God, and then I missed, so I couldn't capitalize on the fact you didn't do damage. That's kind of whatever when you're just doing a quick one-off. But when you do 4 games in a row and that keeps happening, it really starts to get annoying. But overall, based off Thor and Loki, I thought that they played really thematic. And it ended up being extremely close. It still comes down to luck of the draw and luck of the roll. Because the 3 cards I had in my hand, the samesies and then the 6-it and tip-it and So Wild, I had all those in my hand, but whenever I initially rolled, that's whenever I got the 5 staves or scepters, and I was like, well, there's no... I'm not going to waste these cards to try and get a 6.
Well, and I could never roll lightning bolts to even get close to mine. So one time it was a defensive roll. I rolled 2.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was always...
Yeah, it was always helmets, and
which
it was...
I guess would make sense, because that's what all the others are, but...
True. But yeah, I mean, that's just the thing of Dice Throne, is if you're going... there's enough strategy that, the randomness and the strategy works for me. If you're top-decking cards, or you're always starved for combat points, your opponent's probably going to do better. They have more versatility. If they always have a hand of cards and a stack of CP, then they don't have to... They have so much dice mitigation. Or if you get a lucky roll and I roll, let's say I get lucky and I roll all 5 6s, and you have 4 cards in your hand, chances are you're going to have something to prevent something, and it's like, so don't tap yourself out on resources. But at the end of the day, it still is a random game. If you don't like, battlers 1v1s, where who wins and who loses is decided upon how dice roll, then stay away from all of these, I would say.
Hence the Dice Throne. I mean,
it is called
dice
Throne.
randomness.
Yes.
Don't play Dice Throne.
Yeah, and I mean, well, that's the best part is that because you have your own personal character cards, and then everyone has the same generic dice mitigation or CP generation or card draw. That it's just a matter of like, I like that. I like the fact that it's not like, oh man, Thor has all these buff abilities. Like, I don't have any of those. Like, if you have your 6-it card, I know it's somewhere in my deck. And most of the characters are good about generally getting stuff. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that this one, I feel like you can be more thematic too with the pairings. Like, we obviously picked Thor versus Loki. We could have done Scarlet Witch versus Doctor Strange because of the latest Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
That's pretty much it of all of these.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who are you hoping to see if they do?
If
they do a season 2, which I don't know if they are. Like,
I would almost bet they do. If they have the license, why not? It's printing money.
True.
I mean, if you have the ability to.
I almost had every single playmat, and then that was like $300, and I was like, all right, I need to calm the fuck down. Like, I did. Never mind. And here's the thing. Roxley Games is stellar customer service. I remember I wanted to bring this up because I've had companies where they're like, no, we don't do refunds, or fuck you. I reached out to them and they're like, well, we haven't taken the pledge, we haven't taken the money yet, but whenever we do, we'll just refund you for the playmats if you don't want them. I'm like, well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and they're great at like the conventions. They run dice run tournaments. Anyway, characters. Like Captain America would be sweet.
Yeah, with his shield.
Yeah, shield and having the colors like the red, white, blue dice and all that stuff.
True. Yeah, I do
an
love
Iron
America.
Man type thing.
Iron Man with his it'd be cool if he did like his suit.
And then you got to throw kind of some. I don't know, like maybe because you're not going to regular Spider-Man and Miles Morales are going to be too similar.
Yeah, and I like that they did Miles Morales.
Yeah.
It's like thank God it's not another fucking Peter Parker.
Maybe Winter Soldier. That's kind of like one of those middling ones.
Guardians would be neat.
The Guardians would be kind of cool, yeah.
Groot or Star-Lord, Gamora.
Yeah. They could go anyway. I think the one I envision on the table is Captain America and Iron Man, just because of the, Hulk, yeah, Hulk with the green and purple, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It would be, because here's the thing that's weird about this is, I mean, it's the same exact system, so you can theoretically merge this with previous copies, but that's just so weird. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like the Marvel Dice Throne at first. I was like, well, I'd rather just have a Season 3 so I can just combine all them together, because it's just weird to be like, oh, let's do Captain Marvel against the Gunslinger. It's like, I mean, you can, without a doubt.
I was looking to see how much this made, because they've got to put out a season 2.
Yeah, and I would imagine, I bet you they probably picked these 8 because these are probably the ideas that they had. Because it's like, the abilities on your actual sheet, I mean, they're pretty much the same through and through. It's obviously the special character tokens. So I bet you they could think of, off the top of their head, these 8, how tokens are going to work. Because their challenge was these had to feel different from the other 16. Like, you didn't want Black Widow to come out and she plays like she has a reload token and she has a dodge and she has all that shit. Where it's like, okay, this is basically the Moon Elf or something, just skinned as Black Widow. So they had to feel different enough. And based off the 2 characters we've played, it's still familiar, but Loki played completely different from anyone I've seen. Thor,
just having this mechanic,
of the
throwing
back
and
and forth
and being able to power myself up when I bring it back and hit you.
Yeah.
If I could have gotten that off where it goes back 6 times.
Yeah.
It made $2.1 million just this deal. So it's like, hell yeah. If you have the license, do another season.
And they already have the system. It's just coming up with creative
So it's like,
tokens.
I bet they come out with another season. I bet they do adventures down the road.
Yeah.
And then be done with the more, like maybe do one more season of this.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, Roxley could keep
Depends
going
on how long
on.
they have the license, I guess.
That's also
because
true.
you pay for amount of time. But
yeah.
But
I thought Loki was super cool. Like, even you just start with these, and the cool thing is like he wasn't starved to get illusion tokens, so it's like I pretty much always had them consistently, but I really felt it when I didn't, because like I didn't have that chance of you missing. It was like
when I got rid of it, that
God, that sucked. It's like fuck. Okay, yep. How much damage? Oh, 9. Okay.
Yeah.
As a play style, I usually don't like defensive players who have no ways to prevent damage. Like the Pyromancer is not one of my favorites because
I think
it's
Scarlet Witch is like that too. I don't think she blocks on her
Yeah.
defense. It's giving you
its
abilities.
abilities are dealing damage. It's like, oh, I roll, I also deal damage back. I usually don't like those because the damage you're giving back to them isn't enough to compensate for the massive hit they just dealt you. That's why I think the Moon Elf
Mine was handy.
Yours was really
I could
good.
throw or retrieve, I could block, and then I could also gain more of these tokens. So depending on what faces I rolled.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think the Moon Elf is so busted, because her defensive ability is, I rolled 2 feet, half damage. And it's like, okay, that's that, I guess. But his was, I rolled 1 die. But he had Spellbound, that was cool, locking up abilities.
Yeah, I mean, they fit. I mean, that fits his, you think about Loki and his stuff, he's always sneaking around
and messing with people,
jabbing people around, nickel and diamond, and doing different stuff.
Right. And so it was very, very close. I mean, final game is 12 to 0. I had 12 hit points. In fact, I 100% thought you were going to heal, because
I thought about it, but I was like, I got the small straights to do the damage.
Because it was interesting, because my ability dealt 10 damage.
Back to back ultimates.
I did.
So it was like, I mean, I didn't have a chance. You rolling back ultimates was 20 damage.
Well, that's the thing.
I couldn't do anything about.
Is you couldn't do anything about the 20 damage, but if you had healed, you would have had 2 life left.
But then I had a token, which if I would have rolled a 3 or whatever, it's
2 to 5. If you roll a 1, you would have lost a CP. If you roll a 6, you would have gained 2.
But if I would have rolled anything else, I would have lost those 2 life anyway.
That's true. That would have been the gamble.
So it was the 2 back-to-back ultimates was the changer for sure.
Yeah, and I have kind of found that if people pop off on ultimates more than the other person, they're almost guaranteed to win.
Yeah, because my ultimate is I gain a guard break, I can throw or retrieve Molineer up to 4 times, and deal 14 undefendable.
So you essentially do 16 undefendable, because you throw it, bring it back, and throw it again and bring it back.
Yep.
So 16 undefendable, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is what it is. If you can roll this fucking the lightning, the god of thunder could not roll thunder at all.
That's true. I kept fucking you up. But no, these one-offs, they're always close.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, keep an eye out for the tournament. It'll be pretty quick because it's only going to be these 8 and single elimination.
7 games.
Yep, that will be it. We'll see who's the best of the best out of the first season of Dice Throne. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this?
The same as the other. I'd give it a 9.
9?
Just because that's what I've done with the other stuff in my mind.
Yeah, I think I was at a 9 for the original Dice Throne. After the tournament, more things were accentuated that became very annoying by the end of it. But enough time has passed since I've done that. I think I will still drop it, but I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah.
It didn't drop enough for me to be like, I don't fucking want this, or season 2, I don't care. But no, it's like I'm gonna keep getting it as long as they keep it interesting. And it's Marvel, and I love Marvel. So
yep.
All right, well, that's our thoughts on Marvel Dice Throne. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.